I'm 82 years old, and lately I spend a lot of time sitting by the kitchen window, staring at the oak across the street. It's older than I am, probably, still standing, still growing, though most of the people I knew are gone. I think about that sometimes, how the tree kept living quietly while I chase things that don't mean much now. I used to believe success would fix everything, that if I just worked hard enough, stayed late enough, pushed long enough, I'd build a life that mattered. I didn't know that the building part was supposed to happen at home, too. I thought I had more time. Everyone does at first. I started as a clerk in a small logistics firm in the late 70s. Back then, success was simple to me. Have a better suit than the next guy, a nicer car, a boss who noticed your name. I was proud to be called dependable. The first to arrive, the last to leave. People said I had ambition. I liked the sound of it. My wife Helen used to kiss my cheek in the mornings and tell me not to work so hard. I'd laugh and say, just for a few years. Then we'll have everything we need. Those few years became decades. The company grew, and I grew with it. Promotions, titles, all those little plaques with my name engraved. I used to come home late, loosen my tie in the dark so I wouldn't wake the kids. Sometimes I'd peek in to see them asleep, tiny shapes under their blankets, and I'd feel proud, telling myself this was all for them. Every late night, every missed dinner, it was to build something better. That's what I told myself. When Helen's father passed, I was in another city at a conference. I remember sitting in a hotel bathroom after she told me on the phone, staring at the tiles, not knowing what to say. I came home 2 days later, stood beside her at the funeral, and couldn't think of anything but the next quarter's targets. That's the truth. I was there in body, but not in mind. As years passed, the distance between us became normal. She stopped waiting up. I stopped explaining where I was. The kids, Tom and Laura, they grew into strangers I only half recognized. Tom played football in high school. I missed every game. I'd promise I'd be there next time, and somehow next time never came. He stopped asking after a while. I remember one evening, I was buried in paperwork at the kitchen table. A rare night home early. Laura must have been 8. She brought a drawing she'd made at school. It was me, holding hands with her and Helen, the sun in the corner. I nodded, told her it was nice, and went back to my papers. I still remember her standing there for a moment, then quietly taking the picture to her room. Years later, after she'd married and moved away, I found that same drawing folded in an old box. I kept it. I still have it somewhere. The strange thing about losing people isn't that they leave all at once. It's that the space between you grows slow enough you don't feel it until the silence is already too heavy to cross. When Helen got sick, I'd just been promoted again, Vice President of Operations. I thought it was the peak, that after all that time I'd finally made it. She didn't say much when I told her, just smiled faintly. By then she'd grown quiet, tired often. The doctors called it early-stage cancer, said we caught it soon. I convinced myself work could wait. For a few months it did. I drove her to appointments, made her tea, even took walks in the evenings with her. For a while I felt like I was finally doing things right. But work doesn't stay away for long when you've fed it your life. Calls, meetings, crises. It pulled me back in. I started staying late again. Told myself she was doing fine. She told me she understood. Maybe she did, or maybe she just stopped expecting more. When she died, I was sitting in traffic, answering an email about a shipment delay. The hospital called. I didn't hear the phone ring. By the time I arrived, she was gone. That moment sits inside me like a nail that never rusts, sharp, permanent. After the funeral, Tom barely looked at me. Laura stood beside him, holding her own children. My grandchildren, 2 of them, quiet, polite, unsure what to say around the old man they didn't really know. I tried to start sentences and couldn't finish them. How do you explain decades to someone who wasn't even alive for most of them? I went back to work 3 days later, not because I had to, because I didn't know how not to. The house got quieter over the years. Evenings stretched longer than I knew what to do with. I thought about visiting the kids, calling, trying to start over, but every time I picked up the phone I froze. What would I say? Sorry I wasn't there? That doesn't fix anything. It just reminds them that you weren't. When I finally retired at 70, the company gave me a gold watch and a framed certificate. I remember sitting there at the dinner they hosted for me, waiters bringing champagne, speeches about dedication, success, Legacy. I looked around and realized there wasn't a single person in that room who'd ever really known me, and the ones who did weren't there anymore. That's the thing about success. It claps for you when you arrive and forgets your face once you leave. I moved into a smaller place soon after. Now it's mostly me, a radio, and that tree outside the window. Sometimes Tom calls on my birthday. Short calls, polite. We talk about the weather, about how busy he is. He became what I was, dependable, hardworking, never home. It hurts to know he learned that from me. I saw Laura last year. Her husband drove her over. We sat at this table sharing tea. She smiled the way her mother used to, softly, without showing teeth. She asked if I was lonely. I told her I was fine. She looked around the empty house and said, "You worked so hard, Dad." You really did. I wanted to ask her if she thought it was worth it, but I couldn't bring myself to hear the answer. Sometimes I walk past the photographs on the shelf, Helen in her garden, the kids in front of the old station wagon, all of us years younger, and I feel something like a shadow move through me. All those days I thought would come back around, all those moments I promised to make up later. Later never tells you it's not coming. I'm not angry anymore, just tired. Time smooths things out, even the sharpest regrets, but it also takes away the chance to say what should have been said. There's one memory that always comes to me at night. We were young, Helen and I, and had just moved into our first apartment. The window overlooked a streetlight that flickered every few seconds. We'd sit on the floor eating takeout, talking about the future. She once said, "Let's always make time for ordinary days." I laughed, said we'd have plenty. I didn't understand then how few ordinary days you actually get. If I could speak to my younger self now, the man with a fresh suit and a long to-do list, I wouldn't tell him to quit his job or give up his dreams. I'd just tell him that people don't wait forever, that love grows quietly, the same way it fades, and if you don't tend to it, it disappears while you're busy doing something important. I used to think the saddest sound was silence. Now I think it's laughter coming from another room, the kind you know used to include you. What I miss isn't the big things, not the vacations we never took or the house we never built. It's the small, almost invisible things, the way Helen hummed while she cooked, the warmth of Laura's hand in mine when she was little, Tom asking me to watch him ride his bike. Those things don't announce themselves as precious while they're happening. They just slip through you like air. I've had a successful life on paper. People still say you did well for yourself, but success feels hollow when there's no one left to share it with. You can't hug an award. You can't talk to old achievements when you're scared or alone. All they do is hang on walls, silent witnesses to everything you missed. These days I try to sit with the quiet instead of running from it. I take slow walks. I water the plants Helen left behind. The oak across the street rustles in the evening wind. And sometimes that sound feels like company. I don't tell this story for pity. I don't need that. I tell it because someone might still have time. Maybe you're younger, still rushing out the door every morning, telling yourself there will always be another weekend, another visit, another dinner. I used to say that too. One day you'll look up and realize another turned into none. If you're listening to this and you've got someone waiting for you tonight, someone who asks you to stay a little longer, maybe let that email wait, maybe sit down, share a meal, listen without glancing at the clock. They won't ask forever. As for me, I've made peace with what's left. The days are slow, but they're honest now. I talk to Helen sometimes, as if she's still here. Maybe she hears me, maybe not. Either way it helps. When I'm gone, there won't be much to leave behind, except a few old papers, some photos, and a story like this one. If you've listened this far, that's enough for me. Means someone heard it before it faded completely. The light outside's getting dim. The tree's shadow reaches across the street. I think I'll make some tea, maybe sit on the porch for a while. The air's cooler now. Funny, isn't it? All my life I wanted more time. Now time is all I have.